it going, everybody? This is the Nitty Gritty. My name is Chad. With me, as usual, is Leonard. This is a show about wrestling, and this week we are going to be bringing you a recap of the most recent Premium Live Event. It's going to take me a little bit to get used to Premium Live Event as opposed to PPV or pay-per-view, and it is WrestleMania Backlash 2023.
And it's not closed circuit TV either.
That's right. That's right. So don't go to any of your local arenas or stadiums or theaters expecting this.
They won't have it.
Not even what's the special Regal events? I forget what those are called.
Oh yeah.
Anywho, so
is it the Fathom Live events? It's not Fathom Live.
Yes, thank you. Yes, that was it.
Yeah.
So this Premium Live Event took place. It's a Raw and SmackDown branded pay-per-view. Oh my God! See, I just did it, Leonard.
See, because this is the last before the new brand split, which won't matter within 3 months.
Correct. Yes, and yeah, that's a whole topic, but I'm sure we'll touch on that a little bit as we go here. It took place as we're recording, this past Saturday, May 6, 2023, in San Juan, Puerto Rico, at the Coliseo de Puerto Rico. Jose Miguel Arguello. I'm probably butchering some of that, but
I'm guessing you are.
In any event, and the attendance here is listed as 17,944. So let me just say that I did not watch this live. Saturday was such a big day. Like, I had gone out to see Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and then went out after that. And then there was, of course, a UFC 288 event going on. So I wanted to catch the end of that and this Premium Live Event. So I knew I wasn't going to be able to.
And you did watch the Kentucky Derby.
Yes, I did. Before we went to the movies, I did watch the Kentucky Derby, and I had not realized until I turned it on that the heavy front runner Forte had been scratched. So this is a weird Derby year. Not to go off on a tangent, I said before this event, and when I watched the Florida Derby, and I'll say it now, there will not be a Triple Crown winner this year. I just don't see anybody strong enough to do it. But anyway, we were talking about wrestling, I think, right, Leonard?
Yeah, we should start a Derby podcast, like a horse racing podcast. I think that would be huge.
I think we should do it. So I ended up watching this recently. I didn't think I was going to get a chance to watch it before we were recording at all. But I'm glad I did, actually, because this crowd is super hot, and they are hot from the word go. So when you look at some of the events that they've had in Canada and in England and in Puerto Rico and other parts of the world, like, these crowds are telling you that they are hot for the product. And that's not just limited to WWE either. You look at some of the other promotions, AEW, where they've gone. Like, these places are telling you they want more content. The crowd really elevated this event Backlash for me.
I only watched 2 of the matches because you told me like 3 hours before this point, hey, watch this. So I did watch the street fight in the main event, which we'll get to. And for my fantasy pick'em, I got 2 matches wrong.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm anxious to hear.
Which we'll get to. And but yeah, that was the first thing I noticed when I was watching was the crowd. And also pay attention to the fact that WWE gave that Puerto Rican crowd Puerto Rican content. They gave them
in a way that felt organic too, by the way.
Yes. That was very that made sense for where they were at and for the crowd, and the crowd was into it. But yeah, and here's the thing, like, you can't hold a pay-per-view in Puerto Rico, I think, every year.
Right.
Even because you're not going to get the response you get. But if you do it every once in a while, I think it's going to be an amazing reception. And I think they need to explore more of the world. I know they haven't been to Australia, I don't think, in a really long time.
Yeah.
Mexico, maybe, especially again with the Latin American talent that they have on the roster.
Yeah.
You know what would be amazing? They went to Japan. That would be some kind of weird.
I would love to see them do that. And like, that's the thing. Like, you look at WWE and they're kind of, rightfully so, in their own little bubble always. And you look at a company like AEW, who's worked with New Japan so much that it makes sense it would be more organic for them to go to Japan. WWE going to Japan, like they have some talent on that roster that they could work with in that regard. But yeah, I would love to see them go to Asia. Maybe it's time for another North Korean event like they did back in the day. What do you think?
Collision. Well, that was the WCW.
Yes.
So yeah, there's a Dark Side of the Ring episode on that, which is very interesting. The political ramifications.
Absolutely. So let's get to the card here. And as I said, the crowd is really, really into the event right away. And the first match, a match that if this had taken place in the States, the crowd might have been completely dead for, and it wouldn't have been the same as a result. We have Io Sky versus Bianca Belair. By the way, it didn't seem like there was any kickoff match. This match went about 18 minutes. Bianca Belair retained the Raw Women's Championship. I gave this match 3 3/4 stars. I thought it was really, really good. Io Sky's a great talent. She showcased that in the past, and since she's been in Damage Control, hasn't had the chance to really, flex her muscle, so to speak, and show the world what she has. And she did that here. She took a giant leap forward in that regard. So this match was really good. The crowd was really into it. Specifically, they were into Io Sky. They really wanted her to win. So it made the dynamic interesting to me. So yeah, I definitely recommend checking that one out. The next match we have Seth Rollins versus Omos, comes in at 10 minutes and 30 seconds. Seth Rollins would be the victor here after a super stomp from the top rope, Leonard. I don't know if he's done that before, but logically it made sense here. Seth Rollins is the reason that this match was watchable. I gave it 2 3/4 stars. And I'm going to touch on this now. So I was looking at some of the Omos's stats. This is his second straight pay-per-view loss. He lost at WrestleMania to Brock Lesnar. And if you look at the last time he had a singles match on a Premium Live Event, you'd have to go back to this past November's Crown Jewel, where he faced Braun Strowman and lost. So
he's a spectacle.
Right.
All he is a spectacle.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that. So they want him to be that, but they're always looking for these guys to be like an Andre, like a Big Show or Omos or whoever. You can't have that if the guy doesn't win ever against any meaningful talent. Like, I think the last time Omos won, I don't watch Raw every week. I know he beat Mustafa Ali. That's not going to get him anywhere. Like, he keeps losing to these people. And I understand, Seth Rollins is a major talent. And I understand Brock Lesnar, all that. But this guy isn't going to draw any fans. Nobody's going to look at him as a spectacle or a showcase or an attraction, whatever word you want to use, if he keeps losing. And anyway, go ahead.
Well, Jim Cornette uses the term for a guy like him. I think he's talked about this in relation to Omos. Is he's the kind of guy you use to steal a house. He's a sight, and that's all he is. He's not good in the mic. He's not good in the ring. So what you do is, back in the territory days, you would bring a guy like him in, and you would have him crush some baby faces, and you would build up the match to whoever you wanted him to have a match with. And you did that before the fans realized he was junk.
So in the territory mindset, I understand.
Yeah.
But now we see these guys on TV every week, sometimes multiple times. And my point in bringing up his stats is that WWE right now, and Triple H, I have more faith in him than I do Vince as far as righting some of the wrongs. So I'll just say one of the things that I noticed is a severe lack of heels that are ready to be in the main event. Mm-hmm. They have a big problem in that area. And this is one of the highlights, I think, as to why I think that.
And I think with him too, at this point, you need to rebuild him from scratch. I think he needs to go away for at least 6 months,
right?
And then you bring him back, probably with a manager. Is MVP managing him still?
He still is. Yep.
Yeah. Maybe with a different manager, maybe with a different look, maybe with a different name, and try it again. But I think he's damaged goods. But what I was getting at with when you find out he's junk in the ring, I think the fans know that he's junk in the ring now.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. So yeah, that was that match. It was what it was. The next match is for the United States title. It is Bobby Lashley versus Austin Theory versus Bronson Reed. It is 6 minutes and 50 seconds. And for how short it was, I gave it 3 stars. I thought it was a solid little triple threat match. You knew that Austin Theory was going to retain. And let me just say, Austin Theory is fine as a heel, but I just have no positive anticipation for his inevitable run as either a world heavyweight champion or a universal champion, whatever they decide to do with him. And eventually, I am not looking forward to that at all. I think that, yes, he's a fine heel, but he's just very, I don't know, run of the mill. Like, we've seen this type of heel countless times in the past. I don't know. I'm not sold on him being a main eventer yet, but they are clearly very high on him. So I would expect in the next
my theory that I always take Bobby Lashley because Lashley always wins. But I didn't here. I stuck with Austin Theory,
which was the right choice. Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, about 3 stars on this one. The next match I also gave 3 stars, and that would be for the SmackDown Women's title, Rhea Ripley versus Zelina Vega. Zelina Vega came out in really cool Puerto Rican attire, and her family was there, and it was clearly like one of the highest moments of her career, and she was very emotional before and after. Rhea Ripley would retain. Again, 3 stars for this match, 7 minutes, 10 seconds. Nobody expected Zelina Vega to win, but they made you look at it as a big moment for her, and therefore the fact that it was a short match didn't matter that much. What the stuff they did in the ring was fine. But it was cool to see her have this moment. And again, when we talked earlier about, using some of the Puerto Rican talent in an organic way, this is an example of that.
Yeah, because almost using the phrase I used before, to steal a house. Wasn't quite that, but it almost was, because this match only works in that confines.
Right.
No one else is going to care about that anywhere else. And even though nobody thought she could win, the fact that the crowd was behind her juiced that match more than it would have been. So Absolutely. That was very smart booking on their part.
Yeah, I agree. The next match is one of the co-main events, and that would be Bad Bunny, the Grammy-winning musician, versus Damian Priest of Judgment Day in a San Juan street fight. Goes about 25 minutes. And so there's a lot of, I don't know how they say gaga in this one. All told, I was entertained by this. I'm almost hesitant to say my rating because I don't know what you thought of it. For everything involved, I gave it 4 stars because I thought that Bad Bunny has proved himself to be competent enough in the ring for how much time he spends doing it. Damian Priest, they're both from Puerto Rico, by the way, and there's a history there because they had tagged together previously. So,
WrestleMania 2 years ago.
Right. And so I guess initially what I thought the plan was, and we might have mentioned this on an older show, and what was the original plan was indeed going to be Bad Bunny and Rey Mysterio versus Damian Priest and Dominic Mysterio, but they didn't go with that. And I'm glad that they didn't go with that. They were able to use a lot of toys here, as they say, and they fought in the crowd and all that kind of stuff. So that part was fun enough. And the big moments occur when Judgment Day comes down and tries to interfere, and that brings out Rey Mysterio. And then, to the surprise of the crowd, it brings out Carlito, who comes out in an LWO shirt, and followed by Savio Vega, who we had seen in a short moment before. He had given Bad Bunny the kendo stick that was decorated like the Puerto Rican flag. So we knew Savio was there. We didn't know Carlito was there, as far as I'm aware. So the crowd just goes crazy for these guys, and it made it fun, I thought. So what did you think about this?
I gave it 4 stars, and I was going higher through the first half of the match. The first half of the match was absolutely brilliant, very well booked, very well staged. The build to it was great. I loved how they did that. He wheels out the cart of weapons, but they don't use it. It's not all about that cart of weapons.
Right.
They don't focus on that. They're actually wrestling to start with. The fact that Damian Priest gives Bad Bunny no respect whatsoever when they're in the ring. The fact that he has match one and then he lifts him up. The fact that he shakes off whatever Bunny does to him, but Bunny keeps trying. When they fought out through the crowd, and even the broken arrow through the obviously set up sound stuff, even that was pretty cool. Where it falls apart for me is the interference, because it was too blatant. It was too, we're putting these guys out there because we know it's going to get a reaction. It totally derailed the match that was being built at the time. And I didn't like the finish, which is Bad Bunny hitting a Canadian Destroyer, because of all the stuff that he did. The only reason that was the finish is because, hey, guess what? This non-wrestler can do this move.
Yeah.
And that's why it's the finish.
Yeah.
While I love the work on the knee work was fantastic, and Priest should have tapped to the figure four. That should have been the finish.
I know, and that I totally agree with you. I do think that the submission should have been the finish, because that part was really good. Now I don't know if this means, certainly Savio Vega's not doing anything full time. A lot of people are talking about how many views Carlito's return got. I don't know that he's coming back full time. Maybe he is. They've teased that before at one of a year or two ago in the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, he came back for. I think he worked the Rumble, and I want to say maybe he worked the next night.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see if he comes back.
He looked in good shape. He looked.
Yeah.
Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, as they would say. One knock always against Carlito, and that was sort of the foundation of the feud he had with Ric Flair, was he was lazy.
Right.
And he certainly appeared, and it could have been the environment he was in. And I do know that he and his brother and his cousin still work, the Puerto Rico area.
Right.
So, if he's got some energy behind him, why not bring him back, see what he can do?
Yeah. And the next match is the Bloodline of Solo Sikoa and the Usos versus Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, and Matt Riddle. About 22 minutes here. And I gave this one 2 3/4 stars. This is like a Raw main event to me. This is like, one of those matches on the card that I would call filler. And that's not to say these talent aren't good. All the talent involved are very good at what they do. I do think that this storyline is starting to run its course. I like the aspect of the Bloodline having some cracks in the foundation, that kind of thing. But in terms of the Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn component, I think that they need to move on. This was just a match to be a match, and it was a long one. So again, I gave it 2 3/4 stars. It was fine for what it was, but nothing special.
This is one I missed, and I kicked myself for doing it, because yes, the faces had to win at WrestleMania, but the heels had to win here. And I don't know what I was thinking when I picked the faces to win this one. So that's the one I missed. Yeah. And by process of elimination, I also missed the main event, which we're going to talk about next, because I just figured Brock Lesnar would win somehow.
Yeah, so the main event is Cody Rhodes against Brock Lesnar. And, there's stuff before the match and stuff afterwards. It's north of 10 minutes or so, thereabouts anyway. So I gave this one 3 1/4 stars. One of the reasons why I wanted you to watch this match, Leonard, was because of the blood that was involved here. And since I've asked you to do it, I found out more information about that spot. So yes, I thought that this match was, up until the blood, I thought it was a pretty standard Lesnar match. You got the suplexes and all that. Cody tries to jump him before the bell. It was pretty standard. It's at this point though, I'm like, when Lesnar's just giving suplexes, and I'm thinking to myself, I know that Lesnar wants to work a certain style now, but he is capable of more. Like, he is capable of pulling out some of these things more. But anyway, like, but when that spot happened of him hitting the exposed turnbuckle, I thought that it was accidental at first. I really did. It looked like that was not planned, but sure enough, according to what I read, it was planned. It was a planned blood spot, and man, he's bleeding all over the place. So if what I read was to be believed, that it was planned, it's a very rare occurrence in WWE of them trying to go out and have blood involved these days anyway.
Well, I can see them wanting to do that because it was Puerto Rico, which is known to be a little of a bloodier wrestling scene down there, more
Very
of a
true.
violent wrestling
Very
scene
true.
down there. And if Brock Lesnar wanted to do it, they're going to let him do whatever he pretty much wants. And I don't know, has he hasn't gotten color much in his career. I'm trying to remember.
No, he's dealt out plenty of color.
Yes. Yes.
I mean,
to get it himself. So that kind of surprised me. I figured it was a planned spot. But yeah, I mean, that did kind of surprise me as bloody as it did get.
Yeah, and you know, the finish here saw Cody Rhodes in the Kimura arm lock, and he, you know, pins Lesnar, who's refusing to break the submission. This is something that we've seen before in other holds, you know, Piper and Bret Hart with the sleeper hold. So this is a finish that they've used many times before, maybe not necessarily with a Kimura, but I thought that it worked okay here to make it believable that Cody Rhodes would be the victor. What say you?
It came out of nowhere, kind of. I mean, I get what the finish was. It kind of makes Brock look stupid that he didn't release it as he was getting pinned.
Yeah.
I would be about 3 to 3 1/4 stars with you on this one. Two things I didn't like about it. One was the repetitive nature of it. Cody hits like 18 Cody kicks. He hits like 18 Cody cutters. He hits everything multiple times. And that seems to be the prerequisite of a Brock Lesnar match.
Whenever why do other people have to work that style too? Like,
yes.
That's the part that confuses me. Like, if he just wants to do suplexes, okay, fine. But like, wouldn't it be much more fun to see him try to work around somebody who's quicker and has an elaborate move set? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. And then the start of it, when Cody attacks Lesnar on the outside with the weapons and with the stairs and chairs, and then they go into the ring. One, as soon as the bell rings, Lesnar no-sells everything that just happened to him.
Right.
And two, that's not how you do that setup. They got it completely backwards. You have the heel beat up the face before the start of the match. And then the referee goes to the face and says, "Do you want to continue?" And they say yes.
Right.
That's how you build sympathy for the face. They did that completely wrong. They had the face beat up the heel, and then the ref went, "Okay, we're just going to start wrestling now," even though you just totally laid out this guy with a bunch of weapons.
Right. Yeah. Like, part of the build-up for this match has been Cody trying to get a hold of Brock Lesnar and having security restrain him and all that kind of stuff. So, one might say that's what led to him jumping in before the bell. But yes, in theory, I agree with you. So yeah, this was the main event. We are building towards Night of Champions, which is going to be in Saudi Arabia. I'm wondering if that deal ever is going to end. When are the events going to stop taking place there? But, well,
they have to end eventually. I just think one side or the other is going to just be like, we're done with this.
You would think. And so we will see at Night of Champions there a new world heavyweight champion crowned. I am interested to see what happens there. I don't know. Part of me looks at that title as just because, like, what's weird now is that they're keeping Roman Reigns as the undisputed Universal Champion. And so he has 2 belts. Like, every picture you see, he keeps those 2 belts. But now they're bringing back the old big gold, I'm throwing up air quotes.
The NWA belt. International.
So they're having basically three titles at play here. But the fact of the matter is, it really, whoever wins this, like one would assume it's going to be somebody that Reigns has beaten already, and it's like a consolation prize, right?
It is, and it just we're creating this belt because the belt that we have on this guy doesn't want to work.
Right? Yeah, like he just doesn't. He wants
to
take
the belt off the guy.
Yeah,
they had the perfect opportunity to do that WrestleMania with Cody Rhodes.
Yeah,
and let Reigns have whatever time he wanted to have off, and continue his mystique because he was going to be gone for a while. But instead, they keep the belts on him, and then they create this other title, and it cheapens all the titles because it makes because since Reigns isn't around and isn't defending, it makes his belts worthless. And this belt is worthless because they're admitting to you to your face, we're only creating this belt because the other guy isn't here.
Right. Yeah. And Triple H basically said that. And what makes it weirder to me is that, okay, like you said, they had a perfect opportunity to change the title at WrestleMania. Well, we didn't want to take it off Roman Reigns. Why? Because maybe we didn't think Cody Rhodes was ready. Okay. And if that's the case, what does that tell you about the current state of their roster?
Right.
So I don't know. I agree with you. It kind of cheapens all three. And, you still have the lower titles at play as well. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with it. But I'm not expecting anything spectacular. So overall, though, I thought that this was a good event. It surprised me in many ways. I didn't expect to be as immersed in it as I was. I thought the crowd really added to it. A lot of the matches were at least average or above. So yeah, I thought this was a solid card, and I do recommend checking it out. I know after WrestleMania, the amount of interest in wrestling tends to take a nosedive, but this is worth checking out. So
yeah, this was a smart play, as we said, because of the crowd use. And yeah, I enjoyed what I watched of it primarily for the crowd.
Yeah. And so let us know what you thought of this event in the comments section, and check out our other videos: segment surgery, stupid questions, random match reviews, what's that card, all those things. Let us know what you think. We are available wherever you listen to podcasts. For Leonard, my name is Chad. We will see you next time, and Alexa will see you out.